So, Cristina, would just like to introduce yourself a little bit more and Rakuten Viber, what you're doing and why we're here.
Yes, so first of all, thank you, James, for making me feel old.
How did I do that? I didn't say
you've
you've
been...
been...
the first messaging app. It's like 100 years ago.
It was 2010, wasn't it?
There you go. Point taken. So.
Yeah.
So yes, I am the Chief Revenue Officer at Viber. I do oversee all the revenue-generating channels. Business messaging is probably the most successful of them today, mainly because we literally started from scratch 100 years ago, like James was saying. So no, I'm not old, but it feels like that. We've been preaching to a lot of you here in the room, to a lot of solution providers, a lot of aggregators, a lot of enterprises that are not here in the room today. We can discuss about that later. And we are here to discuss the power of conversations. Though after today, we should probably rename this the power of SMS, two-way SMS, because we've been talking a lot about SMS.
We have, but I did say, though, that this event was very much looking at the world of SMS as well. But all channels are included. We've talked about voice. We've talked about everything else as well. So, Beatriz, would you like to introduce yourself? Your background in the industry.
Well, I'm Beatriz García. I'm working in JDNet. 15 years ago, I started in JDNet. And now I'm the director of the interconnection department, which we are doing all the SMS business line, because the JDNet is an SMS operator in 7 countries. So we do all about SMS. And we do SMS and two-way numbers for SMS, mobile network portability. So all related about SMS, non-voice, no data. And well, I'm also board member in the company. And yeah, that's all.
You do verified email and everything as well, don't you?
Yeah, this is the other business line.
It's another business line.
We have another business line which are for online agreements, electronic signatures, KYC process.
Nice.
Yeah, but always the SMS is there. So that's why we have a department, interconnection department, we are just working and very specialized on SMS.
But Cristina, SMS is there for you as well, because you're very big in the world of SMS.
Is it two-way?
Yeah, I know, two-way, exactly, but it's there. So,
It's true.
Valeria, tell us a bit more about yourself and Calera.
Yeah, thank you for the invitation first, and to Viber for sponsoring this panel. I'm Valeria Magoni. I started the product marketing function at Calera and currently head it. Calera is a company that you might know as a CPaaS company with a presence in 4 continents. We do offer, obviously, the SMS, which is the main actor of today, but additionally, we do offer also OTT messaging, voice, video, and we recently launched in December our new chatbot solution.
Thank you very much. And Ben, over to you.
Thanks. Thank you very much for inviting me. So I look after the marketing team at Infobip. I've been in Infobip for a couple of years, and before that I was part of an open market team running the revenue operations group there. Hopefully you guys are familiar with Infobip. We run a lot of the things which you've heard a lot of the colleagues talk about, so from SMS, CPaaS, and now we're talking about sort of the conversational experience that we're really sort of trying to push as well. So people want to be connected on channels that they use often, and that's one of the things that Infobip is really trying to develop and push.
Okay, so customers, we've all been aware over the past 2 or 3 years of how the world has changed with the very fragmented reactions to COVID-19. Very, very fragmented indeed. It's accelerated digital transformation in the truest meaning of the word on every level for every organization and every individual. We as consumers have changed. Billions of people's attitudes possibly have changed too. But Cristina, starting with you, it'd be great to hear from you how you think consumers over the world have changed possibly in their attitudes to brands, how they want to be contacted, what they're comfortable with, etc., in the past year or two. What's going on? What's your feeling?
It's more of a feeling. It's what we have seen directly on Viber, where given that we cover a lot of the tier 2 and tier 3 markets, we see users of all ages, funnily enough, being a lot more open to using digital channels in terms of contacting the brands and speaking to enterprises, be it utility services, banking services, any type of services. So they are a lot more likely to send messages rather than pick up a phone and call someone. And this goes from anywhere from CIS, CE, all the way to Asia, where irrespective of the type of businesses that we're talking about, customers do show a real wish to get in contact with them in writing rather than by phone, which obviously has led to a lot of businesses making their channels available on Viber specifically, but not only, because anyway, COVID accelerated this trend everywhere in the industry, where not having an open store, of course, you are forced to use digital channels to contact the business. So it's been a really remarkable uptake of digital channels.
Beatriz, you're from Spain, so Lleida is a town north of Barcelona. That's the company name. What's going on in Spain? What's happening in the Spanish market? So Cristina's talking about the changes that happened. The physical premises were closed, people went online, but now the physical premises are opened, and different cultures are different. So different cultures are different. That's a stunning quote. That can go in the annals of history. Different cultures are different. But all cultures are different. Countries are different. People are different. What's happening with the Spanish people and how they engage and with chat apps and conversations?
What we have observed over the last few years is that the notable shift to user behavior and expectations and about regarding how companies have to communicate with their customers. As per our users, which are mainly banks, assurance, public administrations, utilities, they are previously they were just based on call centers, just calling for user interactions. But now there is a growing trend to combine these calls with technology, such as chatbots, artificial intelligence, messaging apps, even SMS or email.
So proper omnichannel.
Omnichannel, yeah. So, for instance, the IVR menus, which enable users to address to a qualified agent, it's very useful. But and we think that human agents still are a crucial role. They play a crucial role alongside these technologies, because when you have a non-standardized problem or difficult, you want to talk with a human, not with a machine that sometimes not understand you. So at the end, we think human has to be there, mixed with technology. And yeah, the result is the companies will reduce the cost, and at the same time they improve the user experience. So I think it's a combination of humans with technology, but humans still plays a crucial role.
Thank you. Now, Valeria, you're from Italy. Calera is an Italian company, but of course you operate globally. But it'd be great to hear you from your Italian perspective. We know ChatGPT, I think Italy is the first ever country, was it 2 or 3 weeks ago, to ban.
Not proud of that.
Pardon?
Not proud of that, personally.
ChatGPT has been banned in Italy, gone. But so what's happening? Similar, with the same question I asked to Beatriz regarding Spain. What's going on in Italy? People's reactions to the various types of chat out there. How comfortable are they with businesses interacting with them through chat rather than perhaps more traditional channels such as voice and SMS?
I would say that apart from the ChatGPT topic, again, I hope that they will change their mind soon about banning that. But
let's not talk about regulation of things like that. That's
exactly.
A different
It seems
conference.
they're working on that. I hope they will find peace and an agreement. But apart from that, what I've seen, not just in Italy, but more or less everywhere, is the desire for people to interact with bots over chat without getting frustrated all the time, which I think has a necessary requirement in the fact that CPaaS companies or other players that offer this sort of services should be able to provide a sort of holistic view of what was the previous customer interaction in a meaningful way. What do I mean with that? if you speak with an agent because you have an issue with a product that you have purchased, and that agent collects a series of information, the next time you speak about the same problem with another agent, you don't expect to have to repeat everything. And we know that's an issue already with every call center, so it's not even solved if we just speak about voice. But when you add multiple channels, it's even worse. I personally had that issue yesterday with Ryanair. I chatted with their bot, got frustrated. I tried to call the call center, was in a queue for 30 minutes and then stopped paying for a crazy expensive call. And then at the end, I wrote an email. Hopefully, I will get an answer sometimes in the future when I'm like 55. So that's the situation. I'm not blaming Ryanair. Sorry if someone from Ryanair is watching. Please don't hate me. But that's true broken customer experience. And we cannot expect bots to be enough artificially intelligent to solve problems that not even humans are able to solve.
I think, Valeria, the different issues at play, because we can have all the most wonderful channels in the world, but if an enterprise's systems at the back end aren't sorted, then it doesn't matter whether you've got wonderful channels from Rakuten Viber or anybody else. Not going to help.
Yeah.
Now, Ben, I was at the Omnichannel event in London last year. Cristina was there as well, and many of the people in this room were at that event in London too. And I remember, I think it was the end of October, because I referred to it, and it was referred to by a colleague of yours who did a presentation at the time, that you came out with some research looking at the messaging usage of your enterprises over, I think it was the first half of last year.
Very good knowledge, yeah.
Yeah, and it was what was very enlightening for me was when it came to the world of customer support, that figure hit me hard. 99% of your enterprise clients' interactions on the world of customer support were carried over chat apps. So chat truly is important.
I mean, so that was a messaging report that we did last year, and I think we've just launched a new one actually over the last week.
Okay, great.
But we analysed data from our first half of FY22 compared to our first half of FY21. And what we saw, we analysed about over 150 billion interactions on the platform. And what we saw was that people, is like hyper-personalised information that was coming across. That people wanted to be super connected in a very automated way, super personalised. And this was an enabler for us to sort of identify that this needed to happen through this combined journey. So we have this great example of Ryanair. I've had the same with Virgin. But you have this disjointed journey that people go through, which is connecting to a bot of some sort, and then moving that conversation through to channels which you can actually connect to, and the channels that you use to speak to your friends and family with, which is the important sort of syncing point of what we all want to sort of connect to. If you think about when us as consumers want to be spoken to and want to work on stuff, you want to be sort of not having to download new apps, not having to go to websites. Right? You want it in a confined way that you actually connect into something that you natively is on your phone. And this is the one thing that came from, or one of the things that came from this report. So yeah, it's definitely something that we're looking at. And the disjointed journey, this is something that obviously Infobip is investing a lot of time into to try and sort of unify this approach. So when someone's on the website chatting to a bot, you generally have this 80-20 rule, this concept of 80-20. The bot will do 80%, and then the human will have to do 20% of what you can't do through bot. Using this ChatGPT analogy, which is mind-blowing that Italy have blocked it, maybe even at some point it will actually be like 95-5. Like 95% that the bot can actually do through ChatGPT or some other AI tool, and the human does 5%. But this communication of understanding between when you ask for something, when you request something, your interactions, they need to be recorded and databased so you can actually access it. So it makes it easier for someone in the call center to react faster. But it's the initial communication point is
So if you can keep a customer nice and tidily with one app, this is what we've talked about before, the rise of the super app, and it's real, then it's going to help. Now, you have a presentation.
Yes.
And I've set the
that has
scene
been
rather
covered
too
in the
much.
5 questions that we had on the
Yeah,
so far.
there we go. We'll see. So go for it. Take us through it.
So the power of conversations, as I was saying, probably it was more apt to rename this presentation as to the power of SMS, at least to SMS. But like Ben was saying, the research that Infobip released is not a surprise. It's something that we've been seeing, at least on Viber, and it's something that the industry has been saying for a while now. Customers desire a personalized, frictionless interaction with a brand. It's not rocket science, it's nothing that we haven't heard before. Users even agree to share more data if they receive a more personalized experience that is going to be more efficient and that is going to answer their questions in a more timely manner. So no surprises there. We sell them the dream and we deliver the reality. Which is that basically most of the businesses will be failing at meeting customers' expectations. Only 34% of customers feel that companies understand their needs, which is a very, very, I think, inflated number, because if you take the experience of pretty much everyone on this panel, and I'm sure most of you in the room, that percentage goes down. Whereas, funnily enough, and this is where I personally don't understand anything anymore, brands are seeking optimal tools to deliver this technology. Whereas, I mean, if any of them were to attend the MEF events, I think they would find most of the technologies that they need here in the room. The technology exists. The technology continues to improve, to advance. Virtually every platform that or every partner that we speak to innovates. Every conversation that you have at an event like this one shows even more possibilities that you were aware of before. And yet, when it comes to the adoption on the enterprise side, the results are very, very disappointing. So there is a huge disconnect between what we can do and we can offer as an industry and what the enterprises are willing to do. And we were discussing earlier today with Valeria as to why that is, if it's just our personal feeling or it's a reality out there. And we feel that anyway, when it comes to conversations and when it comes to, rather not conversation, rather to managing customer interactions, there are so many people involved on the enterprise side and not one single owner that can actually decide what technology best to implement, what channels, how to use the technology to best meet their customer expectations, which is, however, mind-blowing because we are in 2023 and this should be happening by now. So a lot of cooks in the kitchen, nobody owning the product. And if any of you have any other answers to our question or rather to our dilemma, feel free to let us know. It is a disappointing reality because we're ready to do a lot more, us as a channel and everybody here on the panel, I'm sure in the room, as technology providers, and yet we're not getting very far.
Cristina, if I may interject here. So you were on a panel of mine last year, Omnichannel in London. We were looking at small and medium-sized enterprises. Millions of those use nothing. They don't even use SMS. They don't use Viber. They don't use a chat app. They don't use anything else beyond perhaps just email today. What are we as an industry, what do you feel we're doing wrong? It's the same question really to all of you here on the panel. Anyone, just please speak up, please interject. What are we doing wrong? Because we come to these events, we talk about voice, which has been around since 1876. We talk about SMS since 1992. We talk about MMS. We say, actually, no, SMS, you shouldn't really use SMS because it's not really secure. You shouldn't really use RBM because of this. There's a lot of conflicting stuff. And if an enterprise was, lots of enterprises were here and they never knew anything, for example, about RBM or anything like that, they could get very, very confused as to what should they actually be using. So how do we get consistent in the industry to say, look, start using something. Something is better than nothing, and then progress. And ultimately, you will see that conversations is where you need to be at. And for that, you need the likes of a chat app such as Viber. So how do we do it?
I'm not sure that we're doing anything wrong as such, because technology, whatever, if you're looking at media and advertising, if you're looking at omni-channel, if you're looking at CPaaS and SaaS, it has been evolving everywhere. So it's a matter of also enterprises evolving and changing their strategies. I mean, you can't only use SMS and email as part of marketing strategy today to talk to your customers. I mean, it's unless you've been living under a rock and you are not aware, and I'm not talking about chat apps, I'm talking about conversations wherever they happen. So unless you've been living under a rock and you are not aware that you are supposed to have a conversation with your customers, there is no excuse as to why you wouldn't be looking to diversify your marketing strategies to incorporate new technologies that will help you reach your customers in a different way, in a better way, and offer. I mean, and ultimately, all they have to do, these people, is actually use their own channels to try and connect with their agents and see how it is. I mean, somebody from Ryanair must have tried to contact somebody once about a flight, or maybe they should. And they would see how it is. I mean, I've tried. We have all the experience. Vodafone, everyone. I mean, have you ever tried to connect with customer care inside your companies? It's impossible. They are not that disconnected, these marketing people. So I'm not sure we're doing something wrong. Maybe they should be doing something different.
But you need to have solutions which are easily accessible by small and medium-sized enterprises. Again, I keep hitting small and medium-sized, but it's not just about them. There are large ones out there. But there are companies that don't use anything today, but making it really accessible. I know Viber is one of those companies that does have a solution which makes it really easily and accessible for companies of any size.
Yeah, actually, well, SMBs are an untapped territory because obviously there are lots of them. They are never going to bring most of the revenue, which is why I still want to tackle the big enterprises. But when it comes to SMBs, I think they are a lot more agile than a lot of the larger enterprises, actually, and they find ways in the local markets where they are to actually communicate with the customers. I was saying earlier that Viber covers a lot of the tier 2 markets, and there we see that you have a lot of SMBs, or rather really small enterprise, not even SMBs, there is no medium in there, that have taken it upon themselves to use the likes of channel and communities that we offer, for example, in Viber, to connect to their user database and to send them promotions and to do the customer care for it. It's very basic. It's quite it's quite manual. It's not scalable, but for their needs, because they are smaller, it does answer a lot of the requirements. It's just that it's a solution that it's fit for smaller enterprises, and we're launching something soon that is going to provide a more coherent solution for them from where they can do more. So I think some of the smaller guys actually have surprised us in showing more open-mindedness when it comes to adopting or at least testing new technologies.
Beatriz, what's your take on what's happening in Spain? Something. Let's focus on Spain.
I think we are putting all the technology, I mean the industry, we are putting the technology there. But the brands still are like decades ago. I mean, first of all, the investment in technologies is quite high. I mean, it's not simple to implement all this technology, but they are starting to implement some technology, but it's really slow. And at the end, the two-way conversations can be, there are many business cases, could be a two-way conversation for incidences or for marketing purposes, or for, in our case, we do a lot of SMS or two-way conversations for online agreements or for other purposes than incidents. So at the end, there are many two-way possible conversations that maybe you have to use different technology for each one. And then your budget is, I mean, you cannot implement all of them at the same time. So it's a balance for them to see which technology they have to use. And also in Spain, we are starting now. It's the second country that they are wondering if they have to close GPT as well.
You're copying the best things.
Yeah. I know.
Yourself, Valeria, Italy. And again, I know you're a global company, but you're from Italy.
I mean,
you're Italian. You're an Italian subscriber.
Italian customers, so I don't know, to be honest, but that's fine. No, to add on what Cristina was saying about what we're doing wrong, what we might do, I think that, at least with Italian customers, we see that partially because Kalera has that history of working with large brands like banks, etc. So we are used to that model in which we go hand by hand with the customer and build a solution with them. It's where we have our sweet spot. We see that with conversations in particular, that needs absolutely to happen because the companies do not have that expertise, do not have those use cases already built in the company. They don't have experience with that. So they want to hear use cases from other companies. They want to hear from us how we would build a solution. For example, we have built a use case which starts with an OTT message to a chatbot. Then the chatbot answers, gives a bunch of possibilities around what to do with the chatbot. So clarifies what the chatbot is able to do, and then eventually switches the call to an agent across video or a voice call, and the agent gets the whole history prepared. And it would be great to actually have ChatGPT summarizing the history so that it gets only the most meaningful pieces, because if you have chatted with the chatbot and if you have written down a conversation of 100 rows, it is impossible for an agent to be fast enough to answer. So the kind of competence that players in the room should show to customers, in my thinking, is show that you know how the channels should interact in a conversation and teach your customers how to do that in a meaningful way.
Perfect. Ben, we haven't talked about mobile operators and CPaaS solutions. So you and many of the companies in this room provide CPaaS solutions which integrate solutions such as Viber. Do the operators understand the real opportunity they have, the strength of their brands, to really go out there and working and partnering with the likes of Kalera or Yada or a multitude of companies in this room, packaging up channels such as Rakuten Viber out there? Are they getting that opportunity? Are they finally starting to understand?
I think so. I mean, we obviously work very closely with a lot of telcos globally. But I echo all the points that were made sort of on the panel that, there's if I leave sort of that telco piece aside, if you going back to your original point around this sort of SMB enterprise environment, I mean, COVID sort of moved where they were, pre-COVID up to sort of where they are today, light years ahead. So they started to operate much more on the basis that they need to connect to their users, their customers, in multiple different ways. And that sort of exaggerated after COVID and during COVID. And I think that now they're at the stage where they're still trying to catch up, and the conversational environment of sort of where they need to be is something they do need advice on. They do need this education on support, like what is the best channel, how do you connect these journeys? And I think when you relate that to the telco, it's the same piece. Like it's this is the conversational environment is relatively something that needs to be driven along, and we work very closely with them to be able to do that. So if we can offer the support mechanism, which we do, it's not a problem. And something like Viber, it's when you relate it to a typical CPaaS, let's say SMS, it's very constrained to like what you can actually offer. It's just characters, whereas something like Viber, you can add much more sort of enriched data, you can enrich images, and it becomes much more of this conversational experience that we're trying to sort of help customers with.
Thanks. Christina, beyond customer support, which is the obvious use case block for chat and for conversations, what are the principal use cases your customers are actually, what the principal things your customers are doing with your Viber channel for use cases beyond customer support?
Actually, they are mainly probably using us as a sales channel rather than a customer support channel, which is maybe great for them, but it's not so great for us, because while the sales strategy does work and they are chasing sales, you need to personalize the approach and again the exchange that you have on a messaging app, because like somebody was saying earlier today, for them, the messaging app is where their friends and family are, so you don't necessarily want to be spammed by promotional messages that somebody might decide to send you in an attempt to drive more sales. So we have a lot of customers using us as a sales channel, but the ones that are getting the best results are the ones that combine sales with customer care, and they find the right balance in between the two. And the ones that actually, like Ben was saying, go beyond using Viber in this case, or any messaging app as an alternative to SMS, but actually integrate messaging apps as part of their marketing strategy, because everything can actually work together, where you're using SMS for something, and then when it comes to messaging apps, you're sending different type of messages because the technology allows you to do a lot more. So sales would be the other usage, and then, but this is all part of a customer care when you are answering queries, tracking deliveries. We funnily enough work with a lot of banking actors as well that will be sending what is considered very sensitive information through Viber, from the one-time passwords to other type of messaging.
Okay, that's interesting, sorry. So we had the authentication session today,
Yes.
so one-time passwords are being sent by Viber.
Yes, of course. But in this case, Viber is very secure, and we do use end-to-end encryption, the real one, not the ones that the other ones are using.
Yeah.
And we have actually released additional type of messages that are aimed only at the financial sector, that have added security on top of what we use as a standard for business messaging, precisely because we've had requests to make our protocols even safer from the banking sector. And this remains very specific to banking anyway. So banking is a trend that has been growing in CE, at least for the past, it started right before COVID, I would say.
So Central Eastern Europe.
Yes, Central Eastern Europe, right before COVID, where first, again, they use us as a sales channel, and then they move more and more into customer care.
Okay, so it's about that approach, that holistic approach, both for sales and the customer support side of things. Beatriz, and the rest of the panelists as well, and you, Cristina, when you look at the world of, I suppose it's advertising, it's sales and advertising. So many businesses around the world use digital ads. So is it 98%? Again, this was from Omnichannel, MEF Connect's Omnichannel. You really should have been there if you weren't there. And the recordings, I'm a MEF advert, but the recordings of the sessions are there and up. And I remember hearing 98% of Meta's revenue came from digital ads last year up until the point of the event, the first 3 quarters. And that means, well, take them, take the rest of the market. The market for digital ads is worth $300, $400 billion a year. For us, if you want to call it that, in the room, in the world of A2P messaging, we're probably looking, depending who you ask, 40, 50, 60, 70. It's a fraction, it's a quarter, it's a fifth of what digital ads is. Yet, you look at the conversion ratio of digital ads, very, very small. The conversion ratio of things like SMS, much, much higher. And then you move up to something like Viber, you double, triple that easily on top of that. What do we need to be doing as an industry to get it out there that literally the power of conversations is where businesses need to be at? It may be cool, it may be hip to roll with a digital, a well-known digital channel, and we all know the apps I'm talking about, but the reality is the ones which really get the money in and get the business over the line are the ones from yourself and other people in the room, SMS. How do we do that?
We continue to educate the enterprises. Coming back to your previous questions, I was thinking, for so many years, enterprises are chasing, and even now, sales, hence digital advertising and the spend that they put in there. But come COVID, a lot of them realize that a returning customer is worth almost as much as, or rather more, than a new customer. So I think now we have we are at a great time where we could actually be making a case about the fact that user loyalty and returning customers are worth more than spreading yourself too thin and advertising only through ads in order to bring new customers, because it is a happy returning customer that is going to buy more from you rather than somebody that might test you once and then he discovers a disappointing after a sales experience and might or might not come back, and anyway you have a higher risk there. So we need to educate the enterprises, we need to hold them by the hand, we need to present the solutions, we need to translate the technologies and make them as approachable as possible. At least this is the way that we see bringing results, even if, yes.
Dare I suggest MEF could be a good platform for that?
You would bring them. Where are the enterprises?
That's exactly what we want. We want the enterprises here. And the thing is, though, many of you say that, but many of you have the enterprise clients, and we would love your clients to be joining us.
I don't have them, they have them.
No, they have them. Okay, not looking at you. But we'd love to have your enterprise clients here with us as well. Yeah. Ben, what's your take on the situation? So,
I think that there's, I heard a stat that there's like 94.8 or something % adoption with like chat apps compared to social, which is like 94% or so, something in that matter. So it's actually more adoption between the age of 16 to like over 60, 65 with chat apps. And I think that, like, you know, this comment, and I agree with this, there's a space for every aspect from between CPaaS and chat apps and the way how they connect to each other. And I think that it's the educational, but it's also this retention point, I think, is critical, because if you can show that there's a specific channel that needs to be connected to for, I don't know, like the marketing aspect of the beginning piece into the conversion piece, you know, so how do you convert someone over the line? There's a channel for that, and how do you then convert someone into and make sure there's a retention piece? There's another sort of channel, and those things come together, and that's that unified journey. And I think that when you start to be able to, this conversational piece is, I won't say it's relatively new, but this progression of how we've sort of got people, I don't know, talking about conversation is amazing, and actually impacting into an app. And we have a use case, I think, with Uber, where you can book your Uber through the app, through a chat app, through basically requesting it, address, pay for it, change location, and it's all through. So it's all through the digital app. And I think
Ben, guess who's coming up next on the panel? Yeah,
it's good runway for that.
Uber. Yeah.
So this is, you know, just a taster of what you can do through chat apps. And a really good example, I mean, I think you're asking about sort of the Viber connection and what the options are. And I think from an e-commerce standpoint, you can create this whole, it's so powerful to be able to get someone to actually convert from like a cart, you know, leaving the cart and sort of wandering off, and actually remarketing them through something like Viber, and then sort of retention through them. So there's so much value you can actually apply through tools like this.
We've just been talking about messaging, but of course the scope with chat, with chat moves beyond just chat and messaging into the world of payments as well, and with the super app. And I know you're rolling payments into the mix as well, and indeed Viber won a MEFI award at our MEFI's event, MEFI's party at MWC, so congratulations on that. And that was for payments.
Yes.
So it's all about rolling it all into one app. So if you can keep everyone in the app for the payments, so from the customer acquisition to the onboarding to the customer support and the payments, that's the ultimate aim.
The concept of super app is not new, and obviously the players in Asia have been doing it for much longer. And the markets are so specific there that nobody can replicate or duplicate what they are doing. However, the idea of adding relevance and utility to a user is very common sense, and it's the right direction to go just beyond messaging, because ultimately private messaging is one thing, but ultimately we've seen it, there is a need for business messaging, and that includes many things, from converting a lead into a prospect, into a customer, new customer, returning customer, and allowing them to pay for the transaction as well, keeping them in the same environment, not because they need to stay in the same environment, just because they choose to do so because it's easier for them. But again, it's not either or. We're not saying that, you know, the enterprises apps have to disappear, or they absolutely have to do it on Viber or any other channel. No, we're giving you the option If you feel that it's suitable for you, do it. If not, ultimately it is the customer that chooses how and where to connect with the brands and the companies that they plan on using.
Shouldn't the brands be asking the customer how they want to connect? Are the brands asking the customers? Are they asking us, consumers?
Typically not. Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Typically, they ask us to pay for the SMS if we want to receive notifications across SMS.
Don't talk about Ryanair. Yeah.
Today is my Ryanair day. Sorry, guys.
€2.99. Yeah, here we go, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. So, Beatriz, just from a practical level, what's been holding back? Cristina, you mentioned that Asia is streets ahead, and people, the average citizen, totally understands, hey, from one app, it could be with Alibaba, I buy something, I pay for it using Alipay, whatever else. There's so many examples in Asia. What has been this resistance? Why hasn't it happened in this part of the world? Valeria, and then Beatriz.
If I'm talking about...
Go for it.
You go first.
Okay, because we are doing, our two-way conversations are quite different from a messaging app. But we have identified several conversational problems or limitations from the user's perspective. For users, there is a fear of online fraud, because we are suffering every day online fraud. So at the end, when receiving information which contain links or lack proper validation of the sender ID, sender originator, especially in SMS, that is not simple to validate the originator, when they see the link, they are like, wow, should I click on it or what?
There's a lot of conflicting information.
Yeah.
Lots of people say, don't click on links, but ultimately we rely on
especially
so many links.
Yeah, we do online agreements, and the first thing we do is send a link.
Yeah.
So for us is a limitation. And the second thing we have is for KYC process, where when we have to validate the identity of the customer, there is a step that the final user have to allow permission for the webcam or for the geolocation. So at the end, it's like they feel we are invading their privacy. So some of the times they drop out the conversation, they leave, and then it's all over.
So it's trust. It's trust at the end of the day.
But even me as a consumer, I remember one night I was in front of the computer with my pajama, and they wanted me to put the webcam for doing some bank issues that I had. And at the end, okay, I didn't want the bank me with the pajama, and then my hair was not very nice. So at the end, I drop out the conversation. So we have this kind of issues. And yeah, at the end, we are working very hard in eIDAS. We are eIDAS compliance. The European Committee has presented recently eIDAS 2, with the focus is to put more, to increase the interoperability and the security in all the trusted services. And the focus is the scope of the trusted services, such as the interconnection with all the platforms. All the trusted services, they are going to increase the security requirements to solve this kind of issues. So at least the regulation also help us a little bit to put more security and more trust in all our services.
Cristina, it's unbelievable, but our time has almost come to an end. So closing remarks from yourself. I know we haven't even finished your presentation, but with talks.
Yes, we've talked about a lot of things. I was actually making a face at you because whenever I hear people being worried about their privacy, and when they post their entire life on Instagram,
I keep saying the same thing.
It's like, really?
It's weird. It's weird, isn't it? People put their whole lives on a chat app, yet one spam message they receive. It's like, how dare that enterprise do that?
Yes. So. Well, it's not an easy one, and we obviously do not have the answer, and we haven't found the answer here in this room today. We do need to be more in front of enterprises, and we do need to continue to make a case for conversations, because it's working, it has proven results, it's where the industry is going. It's again not an either or solution, everything can work together and there is room for everyone in the room, just as long as we are integrated in the marketing mix.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much. And one final thing. So if you go to a well-known search app beginning with G, search engine, and you type in RCS use cases, you'll find that meth is number 4 on the list for RCS. And we're going to be replicating the success of that across SMS and chat apps as well to showcase all the great work that our members are doing. So very, very quick few seconds for any questions anyone has. No? I'm going to close it off. So thank you very much to my speakers, Cristina, Beatriz, Valeria, and Ben. Thank you.